Hey everyone, what I've been reading this week is the famous sci-fi writer Ted Chiang's article titled ChatGPT is the blurry JPEG of the web. I just went through the first part of the article yesterday. Let's do a quick recap. Basically, in the first part, the author made an analogy between compression on photographs and paragraphs. Both of JPEG and text compressed are in lossy formats compared to the original ones. As a result, you cannot restore the details from the compression by asking it to find out the exact quote or keyword. But there is still a way out. That is, asking it questions, and you get the gist of the answers in return, thanks to the interpolation algorithm that stitches points in the lexical space and forges the outstanding ability of generating grammatical tests. That's the secret of being ChatGPT. By the way, don't worry about the words and expressions. On Thursday, we'll be reviewing the language points all together and hopefully you get the best of the both worlds. Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, let's keep on reading. Given that large language models like ChatGPT are often extolled as the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, it may sound dismissive to describe them as lossy text compression algorithms. I do think that this perspective offers a useful corrective to the tendency to anthropomorphize large article models. But there is another aspect to the compression analogy that is worth considering. An AI researcher has offered a cash reward to anyone who can losslessly compress a specific 1 GB snapshot of Wikipedia smaller than the previous prize winner did. It isn't just exercise in smooshing. The researcher believes that the better text compression will be instrumental in the creation of human-level artificial intelligence, in part because the greatest degree of compression can be achieved by understanding the text. 把 AI 尖端技术 ChatGPT 说成是对文字的有损压缩，可能有点大不敬了，但是作者认为这是对人们把大型语言模型拟人化的一种矫正。In order to explain why people tend to anthropomorphize ChatGPT, the author throw another theory at us. 一个知识压缩比赛要求人们用无损的方式尽可能小的压缩一季的维基百科内容。比赛的举办者认为对文本知识的压缩在打造人工智能过程当中起重要的作用，因为最好的压缩方式就是理解文本。Wow, it absolutely blew my mind. For us human beings, to know the world is the process of absorbing and compressing the raw information into knowledge and experience, because to know is to simplify, and that's what separates us from other animals and machines. To grasp the proposed relationship between compression and understanding, imagine that you have a text file containing a million examples of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Although any compression algorithm would reduce the size of this file, the way to achieve the greatest compression ratio would probably be derive the principles of arithmetic, and then write the code for a calculator program. Using a calculator, you could perfectly reconstruct not just a million examples in a file, but any other example of arithmetic that you might encounter in the future. The same logic applies to the problems of compressing a slice of Wikipedia. If a compression program knows the force equals mass times acceleration, it can discard a lot of words when compressing the pages about physics because it will be able to reconstruct them. Likewise, the more the program knows about supply and demand, the more words it can discard when compressing the pages about economics and so forth. 当你理解一个数学公式或者是物理公式的时候，你能够知道这个公式需要什么，也就是说，程序越知道自己需要什么，那它在压缩内容的时候能够抛弃的东西越多，那它的压缩比就会越大。Large language models identify statistical irregularities in text. Any analysis of a text of the web will reveal the phrases like supply is low often appear in close proximity to phrases like prices rise. A chatbot that incorporates this correlation might, when asked a question about the effect of supply shortages, respond with an answer about prices increasing. If a large language model has compiled a vast number of correlations between economic terms, should we say that it actually understands economic theory? Models like ChatGPT aren't eligible for the Hutter Prize for a variety of reasons, one of which is that they don't reconstruct the original text precisely. They don't perform lossless compression, but is it possible that their lossy compression nonetheless indicates real understanding of the sort that AI researchers are interested in? 像 ChatGPT 这样的语言模型能够分析出语言的相关性，比如当问到 supply is low 供应紧张的结果是什么样的，那 ChatGPT 会回复相关的短语，比如说 prices rise 价格上升。但是这就说明程序理解了经济学原理了吗？ 这种有损的压缩语言的方式是没有办法参加上面所说的无损压缩大赛的，因为它没有办法重构出和原文一样的副本。但也许像现在这样有损压缩文字的结果是 AI 研究者们感兴趣或者是想要的呢？ Let's go back to example of arithmetic. If you ask GPT-3 to add or subtract a pair of numbers, it almost always responds with the correct answer when the numbers have only 2 digits, but its accuracy worsens significantly with larger numbers. Most of the correct answers that GPT-3 gives are not found on the web, so it is not engaged in simple memorization. But despite ingesting a vast amount of information, it hasn't been able to derive the principles of arithmetic either. GPT-3's statistical analysis of examples of arithmetic enables it to produce the superficial approximation of the real thing, but no more than that. ChatGPT 在做2位数运算的时候表现 OK， 但是随着位数的增加，准确率会大幅下降。虽然吸收了很多的信息，但是 ChatGPT 还是没有推出加减乘除的算法。Unfortunately, we don't even count ChatGPT as a calculator. ChatGPT 提供的答案来自于文本的相关性，而不是数字的逻辑性，所以它只能产生基于真实事物的相似值，而不能活学活用的做运算。Given GPT-3's failure at a subject taught in elementary school, how can we explain the fact that it sometimes appears to perform well at writing college-level essays? Even though large language models often hallucinate, when they're lucid, they sound like they actually understand a subject like economic theory. Perhaps arithmetic is the special case, one for which large language models are pretty suited. Is it possible that in areas outside addition and subtraction, statistical regularities in tests actually do correspond to genuine knowledge of the real world? 虽然数学不行，但是 ChatGPT 写文章是一把好手。这里呢，作者提了一个问题，会不会除了数学之外，基于文本相似性的统计在其他领域里确确实实相当于获取到了真正的知识呢？ It's apparent that ChatGPT's text coloration-based knowledge acquisition is a whole lot different from human beings' generalization and logic-based knowledge acquisition.But perhaps what ChatGPT shows us is its unique and inherent facility to learn things. 我个人觉得机器和人类一样是可以学习知识的，只不过两者的学习方法不一样罢了。I think there is a simpler explanation. Imagine what it would look like if ChatGPT were a lossless algorithm. If that were the case, it would always answer questions by providing verbatim quote from a relevant web page. We would probably regard the software as only a slight improvement over a conversational search engine and be less impressed by it. The fact that ChatGPT rephrases material from the web instead of quoting it word for word makes it seem like a student expressing ideas in her own words, rather than simply regurgitating what she's read. It creates the illusion that ChatGPT understands the material. A human student, rote memorization isn't an indicator of genuine learning, so ChatGPT's inability to produce exact quotes from web pages is precisely what makes us think that it has learned something. When we're dealing with sequences of words, lossy compression looks smarter than lossless compression. 如果 ChatGPT 是无损压缩文本，也就是说你问它什么问题它都能找到原文，那其实就相当于一个搜索引擎。所以 ChatGPT 不能提供无损的这个特性，恰恰是人们觉得它智能的地方。Isn't it a beautiful piece of a critical analysis? The author peeled the onion layer by layer, building a solid and well-supported argument. I can't wait to see what the last part of the article is going to bring to the table. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Just be there.